and there's need for us to have acknowledge that. So first thing I ask people that show interest in lecturing, in pursuing a career to becoming a professor someday is, why do you want to join? Why do you want to become a professor? You know, why I chose to join the academia. I felt I needed some time, some flexibility in my time management. It was an idea I felt was valid. I felt joining the academia, teaching would allow you some time for yourself. You would not have to resume work by 8 and go back home at 5, all those kind of work schedule. So at the same time, I felt it could be an avenue to reach out to coming generations, to posterity, people coming after me. I'll be able to impact people, gently and vastly. Yeah. These truths, these are realities, they are true, but not completely true. There is something most know about professors. They spend a lot of time doing research. After leaving school, they go back home, they continue work. So they don't even have work schedule, like in terms of, they don't have a specific time frame when they have to work, like 8 to 5. They work 24 hours, anytime. That is something about them. Okay, to continue from here, I would like to explain who a professor is, all right, and what a professor means. In our days, right from time, the position professor has become a title, but the position professor, it's like a rank, like in any other government agencies, like, in civil service, you rise from being one assistant somewhere, you become a chief director. At some point, you become a deputy director, and then the highest rank is a director. So the position, the rank of a professor is equivalent to the rank of a director in civil service. All right. Of course, being called a professor is glamorous, it's sweet, it's soothing, but it's an academic rank like other ranks in other parastatals or government agencies. So Wikipedia defines professor as an academic rank at most countries, universities, and other post-secondary education and research institutions. Yeah, and of course we know, and I'm aware that we all access Wikipedia. We can access these meanings everywhere, So professors are known to be experts in their fields, and their teachers. Their teachers at the highest level. Right. Becoming a professor is quite a lot. It takes a lot of commitment. It takes a lot of intelligence and hard work. We are aware of different degrees. We have different educational level. We have the high school. We have the bachelor's. We have the postgraduate levels. Where you have professional master's degree. You have masters of science, master of education, all those kind of stuff. You have other professional masters. So after that, you have doctorate degrees. You have professional doctorate degrees, like doctor of business admin, doctor of this and all that. There's also doctor of philosophy, and there's doctor of science. For you to become a professor, you need a PhD, like a doctorate degree. Although in time past, there are some professors in Nigeria without a doctorate degree. At some point in the past in Nigeria, for graduates of law, people who have a graduate degree, like a PG degree in law, they award them professorship based on their contribution, based on their depth of knowledge in law. Take for instance, our dear Professor Jemi Osibajo lectured at the University of Lagos in the Department of Law for some years before he became the Attorney General of Lagos, before he became the Vice President of Nigeria. He's a professor, no doubt about that, but he doesn't have a doctorate degree in law. So there are some other professors in law without a doctorate degree, but things have changed now. To become a professor in law, you need a doctorate degree. The same applies to other fields of study. You need a doctorate degree, and you need to serve for some years before you become the professor. In Nigeria, when you get employed, as a faculty member in any university, it depends on where you're starting from. You could start as a graduate assistant, you could start as an assistant lecturer, and you could also start as a lecturer 2, lecturer 1, but the rank it goes this way. You move from a graduate assistant to an assistant lecturer. From that, you move to being a lecturer 2, lecturer 1. You become a senior lecturer. After that, you become an associate professor. So there are 2 levels in the professorate cadre. You have the associate professor and the full professor. But of course, the title professor is attributed to the full professors. So first thing I ask people, why do you want to become a professor? I don't know if anyone has that dream of becoming a professor someday. Yeah. Based on my interview with people over the years, people want to become professor because of the fame that comes with the title. Some people, the pride of contributing to knowledge in a particular field. Some people, time flexibility, like I said earlier. Also, some people have the passion to impact next generations in character and in knowledge. Yeah. So apart from the fact that the professors serve as mentors to people, to upcoming professors, like budding professors, and also to their students, they have this responsibility of imparting character in the students. It's very important. When a professor is not doing this, is not performing his duties to the fullest. Of course, they are the highest ranking faculty members. They teach, they do research, they do some admin activities as well. So professors majorly, they manage teaching, research, they publish academic writings, they publish knowledge. When they find out a number of things in science, in humanities, they publish those things to the public. They make it available to the public, and then different media for that. They publish through journals, magazines, through textbooks. Also they teach. They present in conferences where they share their knowledge verbally with people, scientific community. They also provide community service, including consulting functions. If you remember in the last election, you see that most of the presiding officers for states are professors. And I guess they are even VCs, vice chancellors of universities. So that actually forms one of their community service to the public. They consult for companies, they advise the government on things to do. So there are a lot of professors doing that. When I joined the academia, I had a supervisor, like a mentor, Professor Peter Chikoze in Willow. He's late now. He passed away some months ago. He was a former general of the Federation in Nigeria. Then he served with, before I joined, he served with Governor Fashola in Lagos State. He provided some advice on mapping of Lagos State. While I was working with him, Access Bank had to reach out to him on deciding on the acquisition of certain property, just by the, by the coast, in Lagos. So some of these professors do all of those things. They consult, apart from their primary duties of teaching, researching, publishing. They also provide expert commentary on TV stations. Sometimes you go to Channels TV, you see, one professor is giving a talk on certain subject. They mentor graduate students in their academic training. They also mentor junior academic staff. So those are the things they do. The truth is that globally, professors don't earn much. They're not the richest in the society. So I tell people, if you think you need wealth, you need to be rich, like really rich. In the future, you might not probably want to consider becoming a professor because they're not rich. It's not the problem is not even a Nigerian thing. It's not about also going on strike and all of those things. Globally, academic staff, faculty members of universities are not well paid. Compared to their contribution to the community. And so most times they chase the fame. I remember then a senior colleague would say that you have to choose between two. So you choose fame or money. All right. But of course, the Nigerian system can improve the status or the standard of living of faculty members, of lecturers. But relatively globally, Nigeria is not too bad. But if you are chasing wealth, you may not want to consider becoming a professor. It depends on your priorities here. You can set the priority as this. I want to impact coming generations in knowledge and in character. If that is prime to you, if that is priority to you, it's good. We need people like that in the academia, right? But if you're kind of toggling between impact and money, you may not want to consider that. Of course, by consulting, you can still earn money, all right? You can earn money, but if you're looking for the kind of money Elon Musk has, no, you might not want to consider that, right? Yeah. So here I'm just trying to spell it out to everyone what it takes to be a professor, the things you need to consider while making the decision, right? And it's very important to really consider these factors judiciously and critically so that I don't become frustrated when you come in. There are some faculty members in some universities that you can see it all over them that they're frustrated. It's because the pay is poor, they are struggling. All right. Okay, now let me just tell you some of the pains of lecturers, intending to become professors someday. The pay is low, all right, and they have a lot of duties, all right. They have a lot of requirements to get promotion. One of them is publishing. Another is getting research funds. for projects, for research, to execute certain research on any subject of interest to the government. So the pay is low, and ideally, to publish papers, there should be a fund, given to lecturers to publish papers, right? But in Nigeria, those funds are not available for those things, those endeavors. So what does a lecturer do? What does he do? A lecturer takes from his salary and publishes with that. So from a low salary, the lecturer still puts out some funds to publish. So sometimes some of them look frustrated and angry, not because of other things, but because of the struggles to get promoted, the struggles to ascend the ladder to becoming a professor. All right. So some of the struggles they face, right? But the joy of a lecturer is publications. All right. One of the things that gladdens the heart of a lecturer, of a professor, is impact. And that is the only perk for them. Right? Because you're contributing to knowledge, you're making impacts in the community. You feed the world with information about disasters, some early warning measures, to alert the community. You contribute a lot to them. Apart from publications as well, there is the place of patents. There are some inventions, in the academia that needs to be patented. All right. Yeah. They need to be patented. They need to be registered as original, as novel. So patents are actually required as well. Of course, you don't have to be in the academia to have patents, to patent inventions. You can be in the industry as well, probably in the research and development arms of companies, and you have some patents. You develop certain, technologies, novel technologies. So you need publications, you need patents, you need research funds to ascend the ladder of professorship quickly. Yeah. So there's a question here in the comment section. It says, if one doesn't have the passion, one cannot lecture in Nigeria. Yeah, that's a good comment. Yeah, you need the passion. It really matters a lot. It really matters a lot. Okay, right now, one of my joys is this. I've had students, I've supervised students, I've taught students in the past. It gladdens my heart when I see my students doing really well. One of my students I supervised, if I left Nigeria, is currently in the US here with me. He's doing a master's degree somewhere here. And I've had to write recommendations for people. I'm glad to see people doing well. So those things, they gladden my heart. I'm happy to hear those good news about people. Hear good comments from people, how you've helped them, how you've contributed to their life. One thing about late Professor Emilio, my former supervisor, he got the position of Surveyor General of the Federation because of the good he did to his students. He was recommended by one of his students because of his good character and dignity and brilliance. He was recommended to the federal government to be positioned as the Surveyor General of the Federation. He has a lot of guys he has helped in the past, and those guys are really happy they're happy for the impact he made in their lives. So while he was alive, Professor Emilu was happy to hear those good news from people. Everybody was ready to give to him. Everybody was ready to bless him because of the impact he made. Right? So The joy of making impacts, of building people, of building great minds, it's a major perk, it's a major consolation for professors. All right. And of course, with the title professor, come on, it's a great title, sincerely. You know, when you get to certain accommodations, certain locations for events, when you hear, wow, professor, really? It's something you'll be proud of, becoming a professor. You know. So those are the things that would encourage you. And of course, some professors are doing well in terms of living well, in terms of money. Some professors are financially blessed, you know. So these are professors that know their primary duties, which are to, teach, research, all of that, and also know how to make money. It's not a bad thing as a professor if you have a master's of business administration degree that would help you set up a business. That's one thing you have to look into. You can as well do that as well. You can do that. You can set up a business, put someone in charge of that, and you're making your money as a CEO and as a professor. Right? So these are ways to make money and be happy as a professor. So I'll be glad to receive questions in the comment section. In the comment section, you can put up your questions, and I'll be happy to answer them.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for the session.
Yeah. So it's possible I've not
So,
really addressed certain concerns, you know. So of course you can reach out to me afterwards.
okay, sir.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. You talked about the mindset of anyone that wants to further their education, like going
Yeah.
into getting their doctorate degree and all that. That the mindset should be the mindset of impact. As the
Yeah.
person said in the session that if one doesn't have the passion, one cannot lecture in Nigeria.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
I have a question. So apart from impact, what other preparation should such person, what other preparation should they make?
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. You know, I mentioned earlier some degrees you need to hold to become a professor, right? You need a bachelor's degree, you need a PhD degree, right? So if you're a bachelor's degree holder, you might want to consider starting your master's degree or just apply for a PhD program. As a bachelor's degree holder, you can get admissions for a PhD program in the US. All right, so it's a possibility. So, but basically, you need a PhD, right? You need a PhD, and you must also know that you can't become a professor outside the school or the university environment. So, the title or the rank of a professor is given by the Senate body of the university. It's approved, and it's approved based on your contribution to science or to humanities, your contribution to the university in terms of the funds you know you've accrued for the university, also based on the number of publications you have. So I mentioned it's based on your impact to the university, it's based on your contribution to science or humanities, as the case may be, also based on the amount of research funds brought to the university, and also the research publications you have. So those are the things that would also it's based on the number of years you've spent in the university system, right? You can't get certain promotions if you've not stayed up to certain number of years. I guess it's about 5 years to move from a cadre to the other, right? So as a bachelor's degree holder, consider doing the master's, consider doing a PhD, you know. So of course, if you have a vision of becoming, have a dream of becoming a professor, that dream should drive you to get into those programs and get your degrees at those levels, right? And you come into the university system and you pursue your career to becoming a professor. Is that clear? Have I answered the question? Oh,
I've answered my question.
okay. Someone is saying something here. Academics is a sacrifice for anyone with passion. I believe in virtue before value. Some find it difficult to have a business in the case where lecturers are few in the department. If an individual finds himself or herself in this issue, what should they do? Yeah, I've worked with a lot of people in the system. Um, I'm aware that in some schools, yeah, in some departments, they have shortage of lecturers. I remember when I was serving, I served in Futmina, and in the department they had like just less than about 5 lecturers or 6. So as a corper, I taught different courses. I taught 400 level guys, I taught 200 level guys, I taught 200 level guys. I was in charge of a faculty course, because they had shortage of lecturers. And despite this shortage of lecturers, some lecturers in the department still had some business running, right? They still have their businesses running. Like, okay, my field is surveying and geomatics. So some of the faculty members still practiced surveying out there, all right? Despite the load of work, the magnitude of work in the department, they still had time to do all of those things. So somehow there will still be time to do other things, irrespective of the load of work. Of course, some part of your pursuit might suffer it. Like you may not have enough time to publish scientific writings, may not devote enough time for your students, right? So those parts of your career might suffer while pursuing some other businesses out there, right? But somehow along the line, you would find a balance. Yeah, yeah, I believe so. There are people who have done it, there are people who have passed through it, and they've gotten it done. They've succeeded in that. So it's a possibility in any case. You just need to reach out to people that will be of help, get the right advice from people who were guided. Thank you for the question.
All right, sir. One more
Yeah.
thing, sir. Yes, because in Nigeria, the Nigeria education has created a lot of pictures in the hearts of the students. Some even they hate their professors, they hate their lecturers because they have the picture that every professor is they are very, very strict and wicked. Let me use that word wicked. So
Yeah,
what should they do? And this also bring down the passion of the students.
yeah. It's not about that. It's not just about that. It's not only about them being wicked and being strict and all those things. That's true. Some professors appear strict, and that's true. It's it's one of the things knowledge does to people. You know, that's the truth. Okay, and that was why I read that. When I started talking, I read First Corinthians chapter 8 verse 1. Knowledge pops up like it's normal, all right? So when I see some anomalies in some career, it's it drives me to want to change something about that. One thing I work with a principal, I can be a difference, you know, and my dad said something that in anything you do, make sure you're the best. It doesn't matter if you study Yoruba, any degree whatsoever, right? So if I want to become a professor, or if I see those things happening, the first thing that comes to mind is, why are these guys doing like this? Why are they acting this way? All right. And I would want to probe into those things. A lot of things happened in the academy that we don't know as students. A lot of things I didn't get to know until I got in the system. So as a student, you may not know certain things. You not have the opportunity to hear the cries of some of the faculty members and lecturers. You know, yeah. But as a student who has kind of developed a thread for professors or for the career of being a professor because of the attitude of some of those people, you might probably want to calm down and see the bright side of it, right? You can be a professor with a difference. A professor in Lasso passed away recently, Professor Lai Osho. Um, yeah, I lost the presenter, moderator. Hey, sorry, I lost you at some point.
Yes, sir. I'm back.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay, can you hear me right now? So as I was saying, you coming to the system, wanting to be different. Okay, I was setting an example of a professor who had passed away lately. Um, Professor Layo Shaw from LASU, Lagos State University. He was a professor of mass communication. You know, a lot of good things were said about him. Of course, people say good things about the dead. But based on what I gathered, he was a good professor. You know, he was someone who had impact. In the midst of his colleagues and to his students. Right. So we can be a difference. Sincerely, it's much pride to be a professor. I mean, it's something you'll be proud of. It's going to open a lot of doors for you, a lot of doors for you in the future. It will open doors for you at the embassy. It will open doors for you in meetings. It kind of adds credence to your personality because people believe that professors are respected, like they are good people, they are well behaved in society. That's the believe globally. So, as someone carrying the title of a professor, it's something you're proud of all your life, you know. So, yeah. So, I would encourage such person to look at the bright side of it and pursue it. It's nice to be a person, all right? Yeah. So the drive should be, I want to make a difference. I want to make a difference. I can be a different professor. I mean, people even believe that there's this belief that lecturers don't dress well. Have you heard that? Is that true? They don't dress well. They don't look good. Is that true?
No, sir.
Huh?
No, no, no,
No,
sir.
no, no. It's. I'm just asking. Come on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've heard that before. But I've seen professors dress really well. Like lecturers, I've seen a number of them dress well. They look good. All of those things. You know. So I would encourage you. I'm not here to hook people to becoming professor, but I'm just letting you know the merits. Bringing the merits to you, making you see the goodies in that. Of course, I said earlier that there's not much money there, but you can make much money as a professor. So I said that primarily, but you can do a lot of things that will earn you a lot. Right? Yeah. Yeah. In the absence of any other question. Yeah. Thank you for having me today,
Thank you
Miss
very much,
Elsie
sir.
Matayo. Yeah.
We are glad to
Yeah.
have you on board, sir. So much.
What?
We are glad to have you on board. Thank you so much,
Oh,
sir.
yeah, yeah, sure, sure. I'm happy to be here too, really. I'm glad. Thanks for the invite. And yeah, anytime in the future, I'll be glad to talk about this subject. All right?
Yes,
Yeah, I'm glad to. And of course, my contact can be shared with anyone. Anyone can reach out to me for maybe guidance in terms of um, credit school applications, you know, advice on what to do based um, on the skills of an individual. You know, yeah, you can reach out to me. I'll gladly render some help. Can refer you to people that would help and recommend you, to people that could be of help to you. All right. Thank you once again for having me.
thank
All right.
you. Thank you so much, sir. We're grateful.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Thanks to everyone for coming. Bye.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming. Thank you for streaming live. And this is the end of the Six Shifts 4.0, the professorship session. We'll be going to, we're going to come up now and we'll be having the second session for today, which is the fellowship session. Don't miss out. Stay tuned. All right, and don't forget to share, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Subscribe, yes, do want to subscribe. Share with your friends, share with everybody around you. Don't be selfish. No, 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 don't do that. All right, thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here. I'm so glad to do this. Thank you, everybody. Bye.